Alright, we're back at the Cadillac and working on getting the dash out here. And it looks like you missed a lot, but you really haven't. We had this dash propped up, something like this, when we first got the car to replace the ignition switch. And when I set it back down, I only put like 2 screws back in it to hold it, because I knew we'd have to get back in it again. So right now I'm just trying to figure out how it's all hooked up. And I pulled the light switch out and ignition switch wires and everything, but it looks like down here, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see it, but below the dash here, yeah, I don't even know where it is at this point, but anyway, there's a couple of connectors that look like they go to everything. So I've got those unplugged, and I think at this point I should only need to take out maybe this wire here, and there's like a trip odometer reset thing down here. I'll have to unscrew that and get that out, and once that's done, I think the whole dash will just lift out, wiring and all. So I'm going to go ahead and undo those 2 things and see if I can fish that out of here and get this dash out. Alright, we've managed to get the dash out. Wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. A little bit of, I'm sure, asbestos insulation there. I'm sure that's fine. But we got it out, and got it sitting on the hood of the car here. If you're going to do this yourself, I'd say get 2 people, because this thing is heavier than it looks. But since it's not really the greatest dash in the world, I wasn't too worried about scratching it up. But the reason we're going ahead and taking this whole thing out is we need to replace this, because the speedometer just doesn't work at all. But as you can see, here's the 2 main harness connectors that I had to unplug, and then this red one here, and our little trip odometer deal. Get those out of the way and the whole dash comes out. So I didn't really need to unplug the headlight switch or the ignition switch or anything like that. I could have left that alone. Actually, the ignition switch I had to unplug, but the clock I could have left alone. I don't think that works either. Maybe we'll look at that. But I got her out. Now it's time to grab the other one that I've got and throw that in. Alright, here's the other speedometer we got. This came with this car. It was in one of these other dashes. We got 2 extra dashes here. And one of them had a gauge cluster speedometer and set up in there. So I've already went ahead and I've opened this up and I've cleaned it and made sure the speedometer works. So this one should be good to go, except for when I pulled it out of the box, I dropped this little piece of plastic. That came out, and it came out of right here where the shifter goes. And I must have not had that put in there right when I put this thing back together. So I'll probably have to pull it back apart quick and make sure I get that back in there correctly, and then we can take this thing off. Pretty simple, just undo all these wires back here, and then there's 4 bolts, 4 nuts around the outside, and plop the new one in, and that part will be good to go. I'm going to give my brother a text though and see if he wants that radio taken out and get that redone. We'll see what he says. And if that's the case, we'll pull that out and then wait on putting the dash in until we get that back. Alright, I've gone ahead and taken this thing back apart, and I've put that piece of plastic back in there. Kind of a ramp for the shift indicator. Probably not an absolute critical piece, but I went ahead and put it back in anyway. And now I guess we can go ahead and start pulling all these bulbs out of here and get this wiring pulled back, and then once we do that we can start pulling the bolts and get the whole thing out. So I'll probably take a picture of this and make sure I remember where all the bulbs and wires go, but looks pretty straightforward. go, we got that out of the way. Now I can go ahead and take the nuts out. There we go. Probably shouldn't rattle so much. Alright, let's get the new one set in there. Alright, new one's in. I think I'm going to go over that harness and look at all the bulbs and make sure they're good, and clean up any bad connections, and then put her back on here. Alright, I've got all the wiring back in and all the bulbs back in, except for 4 of them that look to be burnt, so I'll have to look them up and get those ordered, get some new ones before I put it back in. So that might take a little bit, but that's okay, because I talked to my brother and he wants me to go ahead and pull that radio out so he can have it redone and gone through and make sure it works. So this thing will probably be apart for a while I'm waiting on the bulbs and the radio and whatnot, so I think I'll go through and just do some cleaning, make sure those terminals are all good in that, and get our new bulbs in while we wait for the radio to be done. Alright, we got the radio out. Not too difficult when you know what you're doing. Got the plugs out, a couple plugs there. There's little set screws inside there. Hex key set screws. So you undo those, and these knobs pull off. And then behind here there's a little nut that I used big needle nose to unthread. Once both of those are out, there's a bolt on the bottom and a light bulb that pops into the top. Once all that's off, pretty much just comes right out. Normally they have you take it out through the glove box on the bottom, but since I had the dash out, I took it out that way. And I imagine we won't see this back for a while, so the car is probably going to stay apart, which is fine. Gives me an opportunity to do little things like paint this little pointer knob for the gear selector and do a little cleaning. up under the dash there and check all the connections, make sure that's all good, and obviously put the light bulbs in here and clean this dash up a little bit. Had this been a nicer dash, I probably wouldn't have laid it on the hood like I did, but I mean there's big old cracks in it everywhere and it's pretty beat, so we'll just clean it up to look fairly presentable, and it should be good. So should probably end it for this video, and we'll come back to it when we get all the pieces and put it back together.